The night sky above the capital world of Nova Terra burned with the light of 1,000 ships. Emperor Marcus Valerian stood at his window, watching the chaos unfold. His trusted advisors had betrayed him. The Council of Seven, those he had raised from nothing, had turned their weapons against the throne. They called themselves liberators. They called him a tyrant. But Marcus knew the truth. They wanted power. They always wanted power. The palace guards fell one by one. The sound of plasma fire echoed through the ancient halls. Marcus did not run. He stood tall as the doors to his chamber burst open. Lord Cassius entered first, his silver armor stained with the blood of loyal soldiers. Behind him came the other 6 council members, their faces twisted with false righteousness. "Your reign ends tonight, Marcus," Cassius said, pointing his weapon at the emperor. "The people demand change." Marcus looked at the man he once called brother. "The people know nothing of your plans. You will enslave them under a different name." Cassius laughed. "History is written by the victors. And tonight we are victorious." The emperor was dragged from his throne. They did not kill him. Death would make him a martyr. Instead, they locked him in the deepest prison beneath the palace, where no light touched the walls. They announced to the galaxy that Emperor Marcus had stepped down willingly, that he had recognized his failures, that a new era of democracy had begun. But the empire was vast, and not everyone believed the lies. Admiral Helena Cross stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, the flagship of the Third Imperial Fleet. She was stationed at the edge of known space, protecting the outer colonies from pirate raids. When the news reached her, she did not speak for a long time. Her officers watched her in silence, waiting for orders. Helena had served the Empire for 30 years. She had fought in 12 major wars. She had lost her husband and son to enemy fire. The only thing that kept her going was her loyalty to Emperor Marcus, a man who had treated her soldiers like his own children, a man who had wept at her son's funeral, a man who would never abandon his throne willingly. "It's a lie," she finally said. Her voice was cold as deep space. The emperor would die before surrendering. Her second-in-command, Captain James Rivera, stepped forward. "Admiral, if we act against the new government, we will be labeled traitors. Our families will suffer." Helena turned to face him. "Our families will suffer more under Cassius. I know that man. He is a snake wrapped in silk. He will bleed the colonies dry to fund his ambitions." She looked at the crew around her. "I will not force any of you to follow me. Those who wish to return home may take the transport ships. But I am going to take back the throne." Not a single officer moved toward the door. Helena allowed herself a small smile. "Then let us begin." The news spread through the outer fleets like wildfire. Admiral Cross had declared the new council illegitimate. She called upon all loyal soldiers to join her cause. Within days, the 4th Fleet joined her, then the 7th, then the 12th. Cassius had made a fatal mistake. He had focused all his power on the core worlds, believing the outer fleets were too far away to matter. He was wrong. Helena gathered her commanders on a dead moon far from prying eyes. They represented over 2,000 warships and 3 million soldiers. But Cassius controlled the home fleet, which was larger and better equipped. A direct assault on Nova Terra would end in disaster. "We cannot win through strength alone," Helena said, studying the holographic map of the galaxy. "We need allies, we need information, and we need to free the Emperor." General Tomas Reyes, commander of the ground forces, spoke up. "The prison beneath the palace is impenetrable. 100 meters of reinforced steel and energy shields. Even if we reached Nova Terra, breaking him out would be impossible." Helena nodded. "Then we do not break in. We make them bring him out." Her plan was bold. Insane, some said. But it was their only chance. The first phase began with whispers. Helena sent agents to every corner of the empire. They spoke of the emperor's true fate. They showed evidence of the council's crimes. They reminded the people of the peace and prosperity they had enjoyed under Marcus's rule. The colonies that had been forgotten by Cassius began to stir. Small protests erupted on a dozen worlds. The council dismissed them as minor disturbances. The second phase was economic. The outer fleets controlled the trade routes that brought food and fuel to the core worlds. Helena did not block the ships. That would starve innocent people. Instead, she imposed heavy taxes. The council's treasury began to bleed. They raised taxes on their own citizens to compensate. The protests grew larger. The third phase was military. Helena's fleet appeared at the edge of council territory, jumping in and out of systems before the home fleet could respond. They destroyed military installations and supply depots. They freed political prisoners and recruited them to their cause. They were ghosts, striking from nowhere and vanishing into the darkness. Cassius grew paranoid. He saw traitors everywhere. He executed 3 of his own council members on suspicion of aiding the rebellion. The remaining 3 began to fear for their lives. One of them, Lady Sophia Crane, secretly reached out to Helena. "I want immunity," Sophia said through the encrypted channel. "I will give you the codes to the palace shields. I will tell you when Marcus is being moved." Helena did not trust her, but she needed her. "You will have your immunity. But if you betray us, there is nowhere in this galaxy you can hide." Sophia proved useful. She revealed that Cassius planned to execute Marcus publicly, hoping to crush the rebellion by destroying its symbol. The execution would take place in 1 week. During the Festival of Unity, Marcus would be brought from the prison to the Grand Plaza, where millions would watch him die. It was exactly what Helena needed. On the day of the execution, the skies above Nova Terra were clear. Cassius stood on the platform, addressing the crowd with grand speeches about justice and freedom. Marcus was brought out in chains, his face thin from months of imprisonment, but his eyes still burning with defiance. "This man ruled you with an iron fist," Cassius declared. "Today, we show the galaxy that no one is above the people's will." The executioner raised his blade. And then the sky tore open. Helena's fleet emerged from hyperspace directly above the capital. 2,000 ships against Cassius's 3,000. The odds were not in her favor. But Helena was not there to fight. She was there to rescue. Dropships fell from the Indomitable like rain. They punched through the atmosphere at speeds that should have torn them apart. The palace guards opened fire, but they were overwhelmed by the sheer number of soldiers pouring from the sky. General Reyes led the charge personally. His power armor absorbed plasma bolts as he carved a path through the enemy lines. His soldiers followed without hesitation, their battle cries echoing across the plaza. Cassius watched in horror as his guards fell. He grabbed Marcus, pressing a pistol to the Emperor's head. Call them off, or he dies." Helena's voice crackled through every speaker in the plaza. "Cassius, you are surrounded. Your fleet is burning. Your council has abandoned you. Surrender now, and you may live to see trial." Cassius looked up. Through the smoke and fire, he could see his ships breaking apart. Helena had not come alone. The colonies she had freed, the soldiers she had recruited, the allies she had gathered, they had all joined the fight. His own fleet was outnumbered 3-1. "This isn't over," Cassius snarled. He pulled the trigger, but the gun did not fire. Lady Sophia had sabotaged it hours ago, a final act of betrayal against the man who had threatened her life. General Reyes tackled Cassius to the ground. His soldiers secured the platform. The chains were removed from Marcus's wrists. The Emperor stood slowly, his body weak but his spirit unbroken. He looked out at the crowd, at the soldiers who had come to save him, at the burning ships in the sky. Then he turned to Helena, who had landed her personal shuttle in the middle of the chaos. "You came for me," Marcus said, his voice hoarse. Helena knelt before him. "I swore an oath to protect the throne, Your Majesty. I do not break my oaths." Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. "Rise, Admiral." You have done more than protect the throne. You have protected the empire itself. The days that followed were filled with trials and rebuilding. Cassius was executed for treason, along with his remaining allies. The colonies that had supported the rebellion were rewarded with new resources and representation. Helena was named Grand Admiral, the highest military rank in the empire. But Marcus knew that his reign could not continue as before. The council's coup had exposed weaknesses in the system. Too much power in too few hands. He called for a new assembly, one that included voices from every corner of the empire. Nobles, soldiers, farmers, workers, all would have a seat at the table. "I will not be a tyrant," Marcus declared to the galaxy. "I will be a servant of the people. And if I ever fail them, I pray that someone like Admiral Cross will be there to set things right." Helena stood beside him, her gray hair catching the light of a new dawn. She had fought her entire life for moments like this. Peace earned through sacrifice. Justice delivered through strength. The empire would face new challenges. New enemies would rise. New crises would test their resolve. But for now, the throne was secure. The fleet had answered the call. And humanity had proven once again that they would never bow to tyrants. In the outer colonies, children would grow up hearing stories of the Grand Admiral who crossed the galaxy to save her emperor. Soldiers would train with her strategies in their minds. And every usurper who dreamed of power would remember what happened to Cassius. The humans were not to be underestimated. They were loyal. They were fierce. And when the time came, they would always take back what was theirs. The stars belonged to the empire, and the empire belonged to those brave enough to defend it.